Welcome to my podcast. My name is Karina. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wild Horse Adoption Program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Good morning, friends. Today is Friday, March 14th, and I'm getting ready to go out and feed the horses. It's around 7 a.m., starting to get a little light this time of year. We just had the time change last weekend, so I know a lot of people rejoice about having light later in the day, but with our schedule, it means that we go to bed when it's still light. Because the alarm rings at 4 a.m., Randy is at work. I think he leaves the house just a little after 5 a.m. and goes to work at he must be there by 5:30. I start work at 6 a.m. Monday through Thursday. And if you're new here, that's when I get a lot of my knitting time is in the morning, early morning, and then in the evening after work, after, we've had dinner and relaxed a little bit. All the horse chores are done. Okay, very gently pick you up, point you to the outside. So, it looks like it's going to be a nice day. I wasn't expecting that. We've had kind of rainy weather. It almost feels like it froze out, so I hope I put enough layers on. Maybe not quite frozen out. The thermometer on the porch is always a little bit warm. It's under 40 though. And since the sun isn't quite up, it could still freeze. But hopefully you can hear the chorus of birds. And I'll go back up, point you at the sunrise over there. Just gorgeous. Anyway, I was talking to you about knitting when I knit. So early in the morning, I've already knit for probably an hour or so. I've been working on a pair of socks, the branches socks, which I'll show you. I'm working on the heel flap. Been working on the Briocherie sweater, so I'm in kind of down into the body, like I think it's near the waist now. And there's kind of a nifty design that's starting to emerge. And of course, the mittens from the yarn that the wonderful Carrie from MyWoolMitten gave me. So I finished the hand of the left mitten, which is the second mitten. And my next step is to put the thumb. I've had a bad case of cast-on itis, meaning that I really want to cast on. I've been itching to cast on another pair of socks, like a very simple pattern. One of my go-to patterns for socks is Hermione's Everyday Socks, and I can't remember who wrote that pattern, but it's very simple. I have resisted, I'm pleased to report. Oh, and I'm also still working on my poncho. So I get a few rows in during the week. So I'm looking for the horses. I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to lift you up with my right arm, which since my injury on January 10th, it's getting much better, but it's definitely not perfect yet. Still going to physical therapy twice a week. So I'm going to get to feeding, and I'll talk about knitting. I'll show you all my knitting projects, and I'm not quite sure yet. There isn't much news on the garden, although I have been harvesting a fair amount of kale that's recovered from winter. So I'll see you soon. Oh, hey friends. I guess we're going. I wasn't quite ready yet. Hey friends. Now I'm ready. Let's get to the knitting part of this episode. You can see I'm wearing my Karina cap that I modeled after the Musselburgh hat. I wear this all the time. I'm also wearing my Neigh sweater. I wear this quite a bit this time of year as well. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. The yarn is, it's a DK weight, I think, except I did the sleeves in this Barocco, or the ribbing in this Barocco worsted weight. The gray is Knit Picks, and the horse is Spin Cycle. This is a Barocco, the maroon, and then this is the self-striping Freckled Whimsey. It is the 2024 Advent, so that's how I chose to use it. And of course, the Musselburgh is an inside-out hat, and that's what this is, although I tend to wear it just the one way. And it's formed to my head, so that's the way it's going to be. I'm going to get a haircut later this afternoon, so that's part of the reason why I'm wearing this hat. I thought about recording after I came back, but by the time I get back, it's going to be time to start thinking about dinner and feeding the horses and that kind of thing. So you'll get to see my my haircut next week. It's not going to be much different, so no surprise there. So I have no finished objects for you. I am getting very close, though. I mentioned that in the walk down to the barn. So this are the mittens in this bag made by my mom from fabric. That's from Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, and this area is very well known for its cherries, and it's on Lake Michigan. Now, why this is important is because Carrie of MyWoolMitten, who gave me this yarn when she learned about me injuring my shoulder, which is, I just returned from physical therapy and grocery shopping. So this arm's really tired right now. I'm going to try not to hold anything up with that arm. But this is the first finished mitten out of her yarn. So you can see the coffee cup motifs. I haven't blocked them. So they're just kind of a little bit wonky. And I don't know, my gauge really changes when I do color work knitting. So I need to think about that. And I just finished the hand of the second mitten, the left hand, yesterday. So I have used all of this dark gray. And in fact, the last couple rows are in this light gray. And then my next step is to put in the afterthought thumb. So where this red yarn is where that's going to go. And I'm going to use the white. And I will have some leftover yarn, I'm kind of excited to say. And the pattern is hers also. So I have this much of the gray, which makes me very happy because this is actually my favorite. It's really soft. I don't remember what it is. It's hand spun, and it is Corriedale and alpaca, which is why it's so soft and which is why I love it. And then I have this much of the brown left, so not very much at all. And it is 100% Corriedale, and it is, Corriedale marled, and it is mill spun. And then the white, so I don't, the label fell out of the little ball. It's probably in here somewhere. But this has been a really fun pattern to work on, and it's, and I'm looking forward to getting back to the thumb and finishing it up. Because, as I said this morning, I've had a bad case of castitis. Cast-on itis. Castitis sounds like a dairy disease, doesn't it? So let's talk about some of my other works in progress. I have not worked on my blanket at all, so that's in this. I have a tall basket that's right over here that this basket sits on. So I'm not going to give you any updates about that. That's kind of my hibernation basket. So I have been making a ton of progress, as I mentioned this morning, on my Briocherie sweater. So this sweater pattern is by Kate Oates. Yes, Oates. So here it is. I see it. I have a couple errors, but you know, that's how you know it's handmade. And this is my first brioche sweater. I've made a brioche hat before, and a sweater is, of course, a lot different. Brioche is reversible. So here's the inside, which was initially the outside. But when I went to join in the round, I joined on a wrong side round. So then this more variegated yarn became the outside. So I think it's going to fit very nicely. I am going to have to do something with the neckline because it's a little big. But let me show you the design that's emerging. It's on this side here. So there's some, let me see, can you see? Oops, wrong way, sorry. This way. So you can see this design that's emerging. So that's kind of fun. So I do that for a while, and then I get to waist shaping. I've noticed, and I may end up turning this inside out. Hopefully this will straighten out when I block, but I've noticed that there's kind of a ladder where it joins together. I don't know how important, it may not be that big of a deal. It might be noticeable, but that's the way it goes. So the progress I've made, this is a top-down sweater, so you can see the progress keeper there. So pretty standard, about 3 or 4 inches a week. So I am going to move that stitch marker up to here. And then we'll check back next week to see where I am. The yarn is Cascade 220 sport weight. The needle stoppers, very important. Oops, upside down. Well, that's okay. Here we go. I'll show you this one right side up. This was in the care package that Carrie gave me. So the yarn, these are the 2 colors I'm using. And I have, I'm not sure what I did. Okay, yeah, I still have a couple balls each, so hopefully that's still plenty of yarn to make it for as long as I want, with sleeves as long as I want. And I generally prefer sleeves that are bracelet length. I don't like my sleeves too long because, you know, if you're a busy person, you use your hands a lot is what I mean, like cooking, knitting. Long sleeves tend to get in your way. At least they do mine. So that can go there. By the way, I hope that you use this time when you are watching my podcast to do some knitting yourself or whatever crafty thing you enjoy, and enjoy a nice beverage. I have a cup of tea here. It's green tea with a little honey, a little local honey. I put tea or honey in my green tea because it helps with my allergies, and since it's March, the pollen's starting to come out. So this project is my poncho, my owl poncho. So this was an Icelandic design that I modified into an owl design. This is locally made yarn, produced yarn from a sheep farmer who lives north of me and raises sheep for meat and also for cheese. So the brown is truffle, and this cream color is called fromage, and then this gray is a commercial yarn, although she does have a yarn in that color. And since I wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure how that this was long enough when I ended it at the stockinette part, I started adding garter stitch to add length to it, and I split. It has a split in the front, so if I can find the front for you. Here it is. So this is the front. So it's going to go over my head, and then here is where the split is, and then it's going to have like flaps. So I have a place, because my intention is to use this as a poncho when I'm riding, and I need a place for my hands to come out and be able to fold back the poncho if I need to, if I get too warm or if I need to use my hands for something. So that is my intention. The gray yarn is a Patton's worsted. So size, I think they're 6mm needles that I'm using. So I knit a little bit on this. Sometimes if I have a Zoom meeting where I just need to pay attention but not participate, that's what I do. I'm getting a little warm, so I'm going to take off my hat and fluff my hair use the camera as a mirror to fluff my hair a little bit. So, put that over where my bag is. What else have I got going on? I have a pair of socks that I am knitting out of this book, The 52 Weeks of Socks. This is the Branches pattern. It is pattern number, I believe it's number 4. It is. So here is the sock. Might be hard to tell, but it's a lace cabley pattern. It's a complex pattern, and I just started the heel flap. So here is what the pattern looks like. So some cable, some lace, knit through the back loop, purl through the back loop, and then I just started the heel flap. And normally the heel flap is half the stitches. Well, this heel flap is slightly less than half the stitches. And it's kind of typical slip and knit and then purl on the wrong side. This is a twisted knit on the one side. And then on the way back, you purl and, do I have that right? You purl and knit. Purl through the back loop and then knit. So I'll be interested to see what this turns out like. So this has been my evening knitting, although last night is when I finished the hand of the mitten, because it was, it was stockinette knitting, and since this was a very different heel than what I'm used to, I thought I would save it for this morning when my mind was a little bit fresher. By the way, this is part of my retail therapy yarn, and including this bag. This is Woolen Women Fibers, and this was their February box, and I got the full box, although it didn't come with a contrasting mini, so I'm not sure what I did. I'll see what happens in the March and see what happens. Woolen Women Fibers. So cute label. Love the label. And the colorway, I believe, is called Rodeo and Romance. So it's very, Western themed, and I love the yarn color. It's very pretty. And it came with a couple like progress keepers. So there's this little heart one. And then there's this cowboy hat one. It's very cute. Excuse me. So that's what I'm doing on this one. It's not your standard ribbing either. In fact, it's a stockinette, and I misread the directions, so I have 3 rows of stockinette rather than just the one that it called for, but oh well. And I think the socks are intended to be a lot longer than I like them, so I just did like 2 rows of the main chart, the branches chart. So it has 3 charts. It has what's called the coin stitch chart, the lantern chart, which makes up a lot of the, what you would consider the cuff. And then it turns into the branches chart. And I did 2 rounds of that. So let me see if I can demonstrate that a little bit better. So the first 39 rows is the coin and lantern, which has some of the cabling. And then this part is the branches. So I did 2, I think 2.5 repeats of that chart, of those branches. So I've got a pile of things that I want to show you over here. And I know this morning when I was walking out to the barn, I said, well, I'm not going to cast on anything else until I finish something, meaning the mittens. But did I break my own rules? Of course I did. This is a bag made by my mom. So this is a really nice quilted bag with a zipper and a handle, and it's lined with polka dot fabric. I don't know if you can see the dragonflies. So it's kind of magical, and there's a pocket on the inside too. So I said this morning on the walk out to the barn that I was craving just kind of a plain, not too plain though, knitting. So I got in the house and I caked up this yarn. This is a Freckled Whimsey self-striping yarn from when I was in one of her yarn club, probably Yarn of the Month club. It is their Spells and Things. And it's called, and it's a Harry Potter series. So it's Harry Potter Year 3. And it's When Cars Fly. It's an 8-stripe repeat. It's from July 2023. And it has this purple contrast color, which is what I cast on this morning. So I haven't got very far. That little marker there, that was from Advent, from the Polka Dot Creek Christmas 2024 Advent. I also have this little bit hanging out in there because apparently this is what I was using this is what I was knitting when I last used this bag. I used Chowgu red lace, size 0 for my socks, and I cast on 60 stitches because that fits me best. Even though in this bag it's 64 stitches, but with the cabling and all of that, it's and the twisted, those are going to squeeze in pretty nicely. So what am I knitting in this? I am knitting Hermione's everyday socks. So I pretty much have the pattern memorized, but I did write it down in my book where I keep special knitting patterns. This is where I put motif for the owl that I got from a Stitch dictionary, and the ponies on my sleeve. Let's see if you can, yeah, I'm not going to lift my arm, so there you go. You can see the ponies. Oops, they're upside down. Sorry. So these are the ponies that I also got from a Stitch dictionary. And then my Karina's cap that I wrote down is in here. And then this is Hermione's Everyday Socks, which is a very simple pattern. It's a 4-row repeat with 2 of the rows knit only. And I just find it very calming. So that's what I'm doing. These, once I get to that, but I'll do 12, I think I'll do 12 rows of 2x2 rib, and then 48 rows of the Hermione's Everyday Socks. And I don't remember who drafted that pattern. It's a paid for pattern, and I bought it at one time, and now it's pretty much in my head. So that's that. I guess that's it for the knitting. Well, it's 20 minutes in. That's not too bad. So I just wanted to share with you camera stopped, and if you've been with me for a while, you know it does. So I've been checking out these books from the library. They're mystery books. I love mystery books. So this is Diane Freeman. They're kind of like Downton Abbey-ish. They're called cozy mysteries. I mean, somebody gets murdered. I don't know how that can be cozy. But it's called, this one's called The Art Lover's Guide to Paris and Murder. This is kind of more towards the end of the series. What I'm reading now is, it's a Countess Harley mystery. And of course, the library barcode is right over the title. So this is A Lady's Guide to Gossip and Murder. So that's what I'm reading now. I read the first one, which was, and Lady Harley is an American who married a British titled person. The first one was A Lady's Guide to Etiquette and Murder. Highly recommend. And this one is A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Murder. And it usually doesn't take me very long to read these. In fact, I think I read the first one in a day. I've slowed down and that was last weekend, so I just haven't had a chance to read as much because I work all week. And then, when I was at the library, I saw this book on their new nonfiction shelf, and it's called Japanese-Style Plant-Based Cooking, Amazing Vegan Recipes from Japan's Leading Macrobiotic Chef and Food Writer, Yomiko Kano. So I am looking forward to seeing if I can find any recipes in here that I like. I've been making a lot of vegetarian and vegan meals lately, and in fact, when I was running errands this morning after my PT appointment, I was hungry, and I went through McDonald's, and McDonald's doesn't really have any meatless options unless you just eat French fries and a milkshake. But they do have an egg, cheese, and bacon bagel, and I just asked for a egg and cheese bagel, no bacon, and they gave it to me. So that was great. So you can, if you are so inclined to do that. I mean, I am trying to eat less meat, for my own health, for the planet's health, and I do try to eat mostly home-cooked meals, which is my interest in cookbooks, and I always like plant-based cookbooks if I can find them. So that's it for the knitting, and I have a segment with the horses coming up. It's just a really short segment because Bragi and I don't have a lesson today. And then I have a really short segment on how my garden's doing. So I think that is going to be it for this week. I don't have anything else going on as I continue to heal this shoulder. And it's always very tired after the physical therapist works on it, and I have exercises that I do every day, a lot of times twice a day. But it's really when the physical therapist is just really trying to get the muscles and ligaments to relax, so I get some range of motion and promote healing and strength. It's really tired. So I'm not going to do a lot today except knit and get my hair cut, cook some food, feed the horses, and have a nice evening with Randy. So that's what I'm up to this week. Have a great week. Thought I would give you a little horse footage since I don't have a lesson with Bragi today. My trainer's been struggling with some health issues lately, so Bragi's more on the every other. You tell him, oh. Boys, oh my goodness. So I just let them out of their breakfast pens and where they're kept separate. And I think O is trying to roll and Bragi is pestering him. So now they're gonna, I'm gonna pinch your butt. No, I'm gonna pinch your butt. So if it's not raining, which it isn't at the moment, super nice, I let them out in this kind of small pen, because otherwise they have, you know, this kind of area that they can walk around and stretch their legs. But I heard them galloping around a little bit, so they've had a little bit of exercise. And then, of course, the way they harass each other. And then later today, I'll let them out in the big pasture for about an hour's worth of grazing. The grass is just starting to come in, and we're still getting quite a lot of rain, so I don't want them to spend all day out there and turn it into a mud bog. And in fact, that pasture that's beyond Odin has kind of the woodland waters drains through it, so it's a little bit swampy back there. I think for the most part they avoid it, but in the summertime it'll grow out, get a little bit nicer. So, yeah, I'm gonna go for a gallop up to the round pen. Somebody bumped the post. Doesn't look like they're actually gonna go in. Oh yeah, Odin's gonna go in the ground pen. Sure, Bragi's gonna follow him, but they'll do a couple laps like that and get their exercise, which I'm glad they're able to do that. All right, boys, I'll see you later. Well, I do have some garden updates. You can see some lettuce in this one, and I have some fungus coming up, so apparently I'm overwatering. This plant in the corner here is a cucumber that it was meant to grow indoors. This is a lemon tree. I actually have 3 lemon trees. And this is an artichoke down in the left corner. And then I have tomatoes that are intended to be indoor, and they're doing quite well, outgrowing their grow lights. And then another indoor cucumber. And some peppers that will need to be transplanted. A lettuce that I should be able to start harvesting a few leaves. A pepper that's doing quite well. Another cucumber. More peppers, some basil, some more little tomatoes that need to be transplanted into their own pots, and a couple more peppers. So how do I keep bugs out? I have this jar of vinegar water that is a great bug trap. So I'll show you the outside garden next. Okay, so I have some garlic coming up and some beets that overwintered. This is just off the porch, obviously. Here's my kind of disaster garden mess that I don't know what to do with, but eventually I'll clean it out. The tulips are coming up there. And I have in these pots some garlic. That looks like a little spinach. and then some parsley that overwintered. And then here in these pots in the front, I've got some greens that overwintered, some garlic that's coming up, doing nicely. My rosemary, I have some beets that overwintered, and some kale that's kind of behind the flap of my little greenhouse arrangement here. So my seeds are starting to pop up. So got some beets here, some spinach, some more peat starting to emerge, radishes, and then some onions that will need to be planted out eventually. And this one's not doing much. Here's some kohlrabi and cabbage that's popped up, and then this container over here, I can't remember what I put in it, but it's not doing much. And then we've had some rain, so it looks like those pots are sitting in rains, but these are all fava beans that are in the little kind of 4x4 square pots, and they haven't emerged yet. And then I'm getting a lot of kale out of that kind of center garden bed. And a little bit of chard and some other greens. So that's the garden tour.